The Joe Rogan Experience.
Dude, so I'm on the phone. It's one of those old-ass phones that are on the wall. I'm on the phone. I see my dad over there in the chair. My dad's just an old-time grizzly wrestler. We're living in his little apartment in Tampa. My mom's over there on the couch. And I tell the coach quietly, Wally Buono's his name. Great guy. I said, hey, thank you for the opportunity. I really appreciate it. But I'm going to have to close this chapter in my life. And he's like, I hear him kind of softly talk. Okay, yeah. And I said, so thank you very much. I appreciate it. Hung up the phone. My dad said, who was that? I said, oh, it was a coach from Calgary. He said, what do you want? Oh, he wanted to offer me another contract for next year. By the way, the contract was like, I was making $300 a week, Canadian.
Wow.
So there was no money up there, at least not for me. And he goes, so when are you going to go? My old man said this. I said, I'm not. He said, what do you mean you're not? I said, I think I'm done. I'm done with football and the pursuit of it. It's just not in my cards. He said, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to get in the business. He went, what business? I said, the wrestling business. Dude, we got in the biggest fucking fight.
Really?
The biggest.
He didn't want you to do it?
He didn't want me to do it. But my old man was a groundbreaker, first black tag team champions in WWE. He was jacked. Pull up my dad if you can. Rocky Johnson. I want to show you. Like he was
Oh, I know your dad.
jacked, man.
He was jacked.
He was part of that group in the early 80s, right, who were like bodybuilding and look at that shot.
What? Dang it. That's the genetics, son.
That's it, brother.
That's where those rock genetics come.
That's it.
Yeah. Oh, my God. He was jacked.
So, yeah, and we bonded. He used to get me up and take me to the gym when I was 5, sit in the corner, and that's how I got to, really bond my dad. He didn't want me to do it. And we got into the biggest fucking fight. My mom's crying. I'm crying. And he said, what do you think you have to offer? I said, I don't know. Maybe I'm going to fucking suck, but I got to give this a shot. And ultimately it got to a place where I said, either you're going to help train me, I'm asking you to help train me, or I'll go to somebody else. And at that time, Bret Hart and that whole family had his dungeon up in Calgary. I said, maybe I'll go to Calgary. He agreed to train me, but I realized he didn't want to see that happen because he felt like, hey, look around. Like I was one of the successful ones in wrestling, but I got a little fucking apartment that I can't even afford to pay $500 a month. I don't want this for you. So we got into a huge fight. He eventually trained me. I call a guy after 3 months of training, call a guy named Pat Patterson, who was Vince McMahon's right-hand man, very brilliant mind in the world of pro wrestling, first openly gay wrestler, tough motherfucker. I call him up because my parents knew him, and I said, hey, Pat, this is Dwayne Johnson. Who? Dwayne Johnson. Rocky Johnson's son. Oh, yeah, what do you want? Hey, I'm training to get in the business. What fucking business? It's a recurring theme. Everybody's like, what fucking business? The wrestling business. Why the fuck do you want to do that? You're just feeling like you're just getting bombed right, left and right by these OGs. So I said, I'd love for you to come down and just watch me train. And if I got anything to offer, just let me know. And if I don't, just let me know. That's all I want. He agreed. He came down, watched me train. He said to me as we're training, he goes, can you work as a heel? Which is, as you know, bad guy in wrestling parlance. Yeah. I said, sure, I'd love to. We start the match. I work as a heel, more aggressive, dirty, cheating stuff, right? He goes, okay, done. And I had trained in a boxing ring, and as you know, boxing rings are fucking hard. It's like this, right? So getting suplexed on a fucking table, so it really hurt. That's how I came up in wrestling. He's smoking a cigarette. I said, what do you think? Do I have anything? He goes, yeah, you just keep working. Take care of yourself, and leaves. And I was like, did I just fuck? Because he had a lot of power. He was like the vice president of WWE. I said, okay, well, thank you so much for coming out. And I said, just keep working. He goes, just keep working. Kind of blew me off, kept smoking a cigarette and walked off. And I was like, man, I think I really fucked things up, or maybe I'll take his word for face value, take it for gospel. I'll just keep working. Little I knew, he went home and he called Vince McMahon. He said, you got to see this fucking kid. And Vince said, who? Rocky Johnson's son. He goes, all right, let me see him. Bring him out this Monday on Raw, and I'll throw him out in a match before the show starts.
Whoa.
Corpus Christi, 15,000 people.
Whoa.
Dude,
This is your first match?
First match.
Oh, my God.
So Vince says to Pat, okay, great. How long has he been working? He goes, he hasn't worked. He goes, what do you mean? He's never had a match. He's like, he's never had a fucking match? I'm not bringing him out. He's never had a match. He's going to stink up the ring. Pat said, just trust me. So they fly me out, Corpus Christi, 14,000 people. I go out and have my first match, and I'm 24 years old.
Wow.
I have my first match. Because usually when you break in, you're wrestling at a farm or there's a barn, 10 people, 14,000 people. I wrestled the Brooklyn Brawler, who's famous in the world of wrestling. And I get backstage. Everyone's, hey, great job, keep working. I see Vince McMahon. He says, you did a good job, but be prepared. I'm going to give you a little bit more tomorrow. I went, great, okay. I see Pat Patterson smoking a cigarette. Come here for a second. I said, yeah. He goes, your punches. I went, yeah. They fucking suck. Just riding me. So that was my first match, first experience, man.
Wow.
Yeah. And then he by the way, he said, if you have a shred of opportunity to make it in this business, you're going to have to learn a lot of shit, but learn how to throw a great punch.
What was wrong with the way you were throwing a punch?
It just didn't look real. And the best of punches, like you got to be snug. You lay them in a little bit.
You pull it back a little.
You pull it, well, you can pull it back a little, but I found the best punches is you follow through, but learn how to just tap a little bit. And then, that's where you learn that kind of timing. You know how some guys, they hit a rope or a piece of string or something like that?
Right.
So, so I worked on the punches too as well.
Wow.
That was crazy. That was my first match.
That's insane.
Yeah,
when was the
man.
next match?
Next match was the following night.
Whoa. So you were right into it.
Right into it.
What's the second match like versus the first? You've already done it. You've already been in front of 15,000 people.
I'm feeling pretty good because, as you know, and like people out there know, if you prepare, then, all right, I'm as prepared as I possibly can be.
Right.
So we'll just see how it goes. So the second night, I had a little bit of confidence, but the guy they put me in there with was a guy named Chris Candido, incredible wrestler. Does a lot of acrobatic stuff, flying stuff. He called the match, had me flying all around and doing all this stuff. But it was a great experience. After that, I met with Vince. He said, "You're not ready for WWE. You're not ready for the big time. I'm going to send you down to Tennessee, and that's where you're going to learn how to work." And it was just a smaller company, minor leagues. He said, "But you're going to go down there. You learn how to cut your teeth down there, learn how to work, learn the business." And when you're ready, if you're ready, I'll bring you up. I was like, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And I went to work. So, dude, as I'm leaving Vince McMahon's office, he says, hey, by the way, I turn around, he goes, don't go down there and cut your forehead up with razor blades. I went, okay, got it. Because in wrestling, there was a time where that's how you bled with razor blades. And he goes, I want to protect this. So good. I do too. All right. Then years later, I'm fucking doing this up in WWE. But
that had to be a good feeling, though. That he had some real hope in you.
That is my second match.
This is insane.
Right there. Look at that.
This is insane. Wow. Does it seem surreal watching this?
This is so surreal, man. Look at this. By the way, you see people still coming in, right?
Yeah.
Empty seats.
That was it.
Wow.
That was it, man. First match.
Memories.
First match.
Wow. That's crazy.
It's incredible.
And then to go from there to where you became had to be surreal.
It was the most surreal thing because finally when they called me up to WWE, it was November. Vince brings me in, and I go to a big pay-per-view called Survivor Series. Now, the wrestling fans out know what this pay-per-view is. It's November 1996.
There it is.
There it is. Dude, look at that fucking haircut.
Look at you.
Ray Charles cut my hair back then. I was like,
wow.
So this is Madison Square Garden. 22,000 people. There's Jerry the King Lawler. The guy's a legend. Here's a little bit of, watch this. There we go. Here's a double leapfrog here.
Wow. Wow.
Drop kick is coming up. Little punch. So even if you see that punch, it was a little shitty punch anyway. But that was Madison Square Garden, sold out. Vince McMahon tells me an hour before I go out, "You're going to win the whole thing tonight."
Whoa.
I went, "What do you mean?" He goes, "You're going to win the whole thing. I'm throwing you right into the fire." I'll never forget this. He said, "You're either going to fucking sink or you're going to swim. It's New York City. It's up to you." And I went, "Okay, great." I talked to all the guys. And by the way, in order to make someone like that, you need the other guys, right? To say, because I always like to say, you never beat anybody
Right.
in wrestling. Truly beat you. The guy allows you to beat him.
Right.
So all those guys in that ring right there, I'll forever be grateful for them because they allowed that to happen. So I win the match. New star is born in the world of pro wrestling. This rookie kid, Rocky Maivia. This is the 1, 2, 3 here. That wrestler is Gold Dust. Comes from a very famous family.
That guy was amazing.
You remember him?
Goldust
Yeah, he was amazing, man.
The whole Gold Dust thing was crazy.
So can you pause that for a second? Go back to my hair. So I didn't know. Look at this. Pause. I didn't know that I went to the hair person who was backstage. I said, "Can you give me something that's going to make my hair like nice and like go down?" And she gave me like a thing that made it frizzy.
Oh.
And then that's what you get, by the way. Just a fucked up haircut on your debut. Like, luckily, the people of New York was like, "This, we kind of like this kid. His haircut is really fucked up."
You look like a Kid and Play.
I look like the bigger version of Kid and Play. Look at this.
Look at that thing.
Fuck.
That's a solid foot above your head.
That's awful. Right, this time the
Wow.
referee's like, "Hey, get the fuck out of the ring. Come on, we got a show."
So
So what? So go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, so we win this match, and things are ascending. The dream is coming true. Like, this is it, man. I finally feel like this is what I was born to do. And, man, it's feeling so fucking good. The guys in the locker room, everybody taking me under their wing. There's some political bullshit that you always want to stay away from. I've always stayed away from that. But for the most part, everybody's supportive. Because even though it's a cutthroat business backstage, you still need some guys, you know, who are going to show you the way. So I wound up becoming the youngest Intercontinental Champion, beating Triple H, or he let me beat him.
Right.
Everything was doing this. So at that time, this interesting thing was happening in the world of pro wrestling where it was fans were cheering the heels and anti-authority. Fuck the boss, led by Stone Cold Steve Austin. Giving everybody the bird, fuck Vince McMahon. Fans were loving that, gravitating towards this. That guy drives a pickup truck, drinks a beer, tells everybody to go fuck themselves. Now, in wrestling world, that's supposed to be a bad guy, but now he's becoming a hero. Then you have this kid who's 25, who's coming out. Here we go, the fucking old school. And Vince and the company always told me, "Hey, you can't smile enough." I was like, "What do you mean?" "You go out, you smile. I want to make sure everybody knows you're grateful. Gratitude of attitude." And I said, "No, okay." And it started not to feel good to me because I said, "Well, so, these nights I'm getting beat, but I still want you to smile anyway." So you have this thing happening over here, the rise of the Attitude Era, and then you have this kid who's just smiling away. Everything is good, even when he fucking loses. And it never felt right to me here. And then fans started to turn, booing every night. Got to a point, dude, going into my first WrestleMania, Chicago, I'll never forget it. Every night they were chanting "Rocky sucks."
Whoa.
And I had to smile through it. Ooh. The bosses were telling me, "No, you got to smile. No, keep smiling. Ignore it. Ignore it. Just ignore it." If you're paying your hard-earned money as a fan, even though this world is fiction and it's not real, the best of the wrestlers always came from a real place. So I was smiling away. I get to WrestleMania, Chicago, sold out. Stone Cold Steve Austin's on top in the main event. I'm defending my title. WrestleMania, 20,000 people start chanting "Rocky sucks." So imagine that. You're a kid, 25 years old. You got the belt on you, pressure. You're in there, and the guy who I was wrestling, the Sultan, who was actually my cousin, Rikishi, from my Samoan side, he had me in a rear chin lock. Whole arena's chanting Rocky sucks. He's whispering to me, don't listen to him. Don't listen to him. Now I'm like, fuck, this is my life now.
Right.
We get out of the match. I go backstage. Vince looks at me and Pat and just says, I don't know what we did wrong, but we have to make a change. I don't know what that means. 2 days later, I drop the belt to somebody else. Now I'm getting beat every night. And then I get hurt. I tear my PCL, wrestling a guy named Mick Foley. Now, by this time, it's May. Vince says, take time off, heal your knee. I don't know what we did wrong or where we went wrong, but we got to really figure things out with you. I don't know if this is going to work out.
Oof.
Yeah, man. And this is 1997, summer of 97. Now, you'll appreciate this part. In 97, during that time, while I was still going out to L.A. and working out, we were crossing all the MMA guys. Pride just opened up in Japan. So I was seeing all these MMA guys going over to Pride. You remember that time, right? I think you might have been with UFC at that time, right?
Yeah.
And at that time, I was making $150,000 wrestling 235 days a year. Oof. So do the math of that and how much you're making per match. We start hearing, hey, these guys over in Pride are making 250, 350, 500. And I thought then, well, fuck, I don't think I'm going to make it in WWE. People are booing me out of the arenas. I can't be myself. They're telling me to fucking smile. I don't want to fucking smile. It's not who I am. I start talking to Ken Shamrock at that time, who was wrestling with us. I run into Mark Kerr. I start talking to him. He told me a little bit about Pride. And I have this idea in my head. Well, maybe I should train to MMA and go to Pride and make money, real money. And then I don't have to smile. I'm sure I'm going to get fucked up over there and knock one of my lungs loose, but maybe I could do something like that. Find the right coach and train. So I had this whole thing in my head. I was talking to my wife at that time. I said, I think that's the way to go because those guys are paying real money and these fans are booing me over here for $150,000. I get a call from Vince and he says, how's your knee? I said, it's healing up. I don't tell him about this idea after I've talked to Shamrock and Kerr and all these guys. He goes, I want to try and bring you back one time, see how it works out. I want to turn you heel. And we have a faction called the Nation of Domination, who DC loves, by the way. That was his favorite, Daniel. The Black Militant Group. He goes, I want to have you join them, and we'll see how it works out. I come in. I said, okay. But I still got this MMA thought in my head. Again, I just want to make money, and I want to be myself.
Right.
When I get to the arena that night, I'm going to join the Nation. I went to Vince, and at that time, there was only just 2 hours of live show, Monday Night Raw. Now there's 6 hours of show on 2 different programs. So I said to Vince, hey, tonight when I go out there, could I just have 2 minutes on the microphone? And he's like, I don't know. He goes, it's live. You know, all our time's accounted for, allocated. I said, I just need 2 minutes. He goes, why? I said, I just want to be real and just tell the fans how I feel. And I feel like I need to recalibrate things here. He said, fine. A minute you got. Great. Get on the microphone. Now I'm walking out. They're booing me. Rocky sucks. But now I'm a heel with this heel group. I grab the microphone and I say something like, listen, I'm a lot of things, but sucks isn't one of them. And joining the Nation isn't a white thing. It's not a black thing. It's a me kicking your ass thing. And I'm going to earn this respect one way or the other. Dude, that was the most freeing thing for me in my career. It was like, you know how you have these defining moments? Mm-hmm. Even in that one little moment, I was just fucking ripping all this open. Saying, here I am. Now you can fucking boo me, but now watch how I respond. I'm going to be real.
Now you don't have to smile anymore.
I don't fuck the smiling. I'll smile when I want to smile.
Right.
But now watch how I can respond. Watch my words now. Watch my actions. Dude, the fans felt something that night. Within a month, I became the hottest heel in WWE.
Wow.